Welcome, my favorite federal employee. Did you know that 2 out of 3 Americans worry about running out of money? They worry more about running out of money than they do death. It's a wild statistic, but after sitting down with 5 to 7 retirees every day for the last decade, I can tell you it's probably true. Their biggest concern, of course, is outliving their savings, outliving their TSP. No one wants to retire, only to have to return to work with their head down, embarrassed, and certainly no one wants to go work part-time because of a financial mistake, a financial misstep. And so there's a lot of pressure of making sure that you never run out of money in retirement. Now, we're glad you found our channel. My name is Andrew McNair, son of a CSRS employee, founder of SWAN Capital, a total wealth management employee where we have a CPA, estate planning attorney, all under one roof. We also are the founder of the Signet Real Estate Fund, which both serve retiring federal employees just like you every day. So welcome to the channel and welcome to this video. So that fear of running out of money only gets worse if you watch the financial news. I mean, inflation, recession, geopolitical events, the jobs report, the Fed. It's really overwhelming. But let's focus on what really matters, what you can control, your personal economy. There are only a few key factors that you really have control over, that you really can take action on, and you must watch them closely to ensure that you and your family never run out of money. And number one is your withdrawal rate. This is one of the most important levers that you have to create sustainable income throughout your retirement and make sure that you have a sustainable income plan. Now, I bet you've heard people in your office, you've heard people talk about it in a blog, on a video, that if you take out 4 to 5% from your TSP, that you'll be fine. But I want to give you an example that may give you some question or some thought about, am I really going to be okay with the 4 to 5% rule? So I want you to meet Amy. Amy is a 62-year-old federal employee. She's taking out 5% from her $500,000, increasing with inflation. She's taking out the 5% from her TSP, which is invested 100% in the C fund. And as you know, the C fund has very low fees. So I want to break down what happens here. In the dot-com crash, as you can see in this picture, takes a real heavy toll on her retirement. But again, she's in it for the long haul. So she has that bad year in 2000 with the dot-com crash. But look, in 2001, we have the sad year of 9/11. But then 2022 is not any better. But the broker, she's talking to a broker, says, don't worry, it'll come back. And it does, just in time for, as you can see, 2008. But luckily for Amy, after 2008, she has the longest bull run of history. Pretty impressive. Can you see her average return of 8%? Pretty impressive over a 20-year period. You can see she's taking out her withdrawal on an annual basis. But hold up, look at the bottom. Look at her balance. Her TSP is about to run dry. The key understanding here is how those early years affected her retirement. When the market is down, it can truly derail your entire retirement. During those years when your investments lose value, life doesn't go on pause. Imagine me telling a client who's saved for 30 years that they can't take out $15,000 for a Viking cruise because the markets are down. That's no way to live in retirement, pressing the pause button all the time. And we call this on my radio show reverse dollar cost averaging, or dollar cost ravaging, as I like to joke. Because here's what happens. When you're saving for retirement, we call it dollar cost averaging. When 2008 happened, when 2020 happened, you kept on putting money in your retirement, right? Because you're in it for the long haul and you keep on putting money in and it recovers. Well, of course it does, because you're buying while the market is down. But people take that same strategy, and of course, what do? They take that same strategy into retirement. And when they do that, they actually create this reverse dollar cost averaging or dollar cost ravaging effect where they're running out of money. So remember, growing your money in TSP is a lot easier than withdrawing and living off your TSP in retirement. Many people have a false sense of confidence that they can do it themselves, or that their advisors that they've worked with through the accumulation phase will be able to guide them through the distribution phase. And again, it's a different type of game being played altogether. And that game and the rules of that game have changed under your feet if you're about to retire. Number 2 is segmenting your money. Keeping all of your money in a single TSP fund can be really risky because the retirement that you've dreamed of is not a linear journey. What do I mean by that? It comes in phases. It's often been referred to as the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. I'll put a link in the description below to Dr. Robert Moyne's TED Talk, where he explains this in great detail. In simple terms, your retirement needs are not static. One of the greatest mistakes, or I should say the gravest mistakes that I've witnessed helping hundreds of retirees retire and speaking to thousands is that they think that retirement is linear. And what I can assure you, and what I've witnessed time and time again, living hundreds of lives through the eyes of clients, is that you have your plans, but sadly health challenges can derail them and change and pivot your retirement altogether. So I think it's incredibly important for you to spend more money in the first 10 years of your retirement, to front load your retirement, and to jump with 2 feet in the deep end, because in the first 10 years of retirement, you have the health, the wealth, and the freedom to finally enjoy it. That's why bucket income strategies work so well. So if your advisor is just using a 4 to 5% rule of thumb for your retirement, that is too simplistic. It's like saying that all you need is a compass to get to the moon. Yes, direction is important, but getting to the moon requires far more sophisticated calculations. It's possible, it's doable, but it's not advisable. I want to show you how we approach, in the most simplistic form I can, our 3-bucket strategy that we utilize for clients on a regular basis. So let me draw this out for you. Let me show you how we approach the bucket strategies that we build for our clients on a regular basis, a part of their income plan calculations that we do. And I always like to refer to this part as the income bridge. So if you think of income planning like this, there's a gap. There's typically a gap between what your income is in retirement and your expenses. So we help clients by giving them a spending plan to determine what number they need to thrive, not survive, on this right side, and then we inventory all of their income over here. So we inventory all their income. Then we're helping clients make those big decisions. I mean, these are very imperative decisions that we all have to make as a federal employee. Is what are we going to do with our first pension? Are we going to take survivor benefit? Are we going to not take survivor benefit? And if we do, what percentage do we take? Then we have to decide on a big decision like Social Security, when to take it. These all factor into our income plan. But then that often leads still a gap between these two. And that gap oftentimes is just met with, well, we'll take money from your investment accounts, is what families have heard from professional advice givers. And the issue is that is tied to market volatility. So if we're not careful, we just have a suspension bridge that is at the mercy of market volatility. And before you know it, that suspension bridge is swinging in the wind and you're at the mercy of the market, having to put your life on pause. And again, that's no way to live. So a better way is to build an income bridge that is sustainable and has some flex to it, but is sturdy. So let me show you how we do that. So the first thing I want to do is draw out bucket number 1. And that's years 1 through 5. That's bucket number 1. Then we have maybe even a smaller bucket here. Bucket number 2. That's going to cover years 5 through 10. And then we have bucket number 3 that's about the same size or smaller. And that bucket is going to take care of us for years 10 and beyond. Again, no one knows how long their retirement is going to be, of course. It might be a 10-year retirement, a 20 or 30-year retirement. So when we're trying to plan on how much money goes into that 3 buckets, we have to always keep in mind PLR. You probably already heard about this in one of my other videos, but PLR stands for protection, liquidity, and return. And when we're talking about any investment, from hedge funds to CDs with clients, I always like to use these 3 levers that apply to almost every investment in a uniform basis. They all apply. So we either have a lot of protection, little liquidity, lots of return, and typically we can only have 2 out of the 3. You can't have all 3. No perfect investment does that. So when we go to fund these buckets 1 through 5, we want to put an ample amount in bucket number 1. Because again, this is when you have the time, the health, and the freedom to enjoy what you've saved so long for. And so we want to make sure that there's ample here, and we want to prioritize protection and liquidity. We want to make sure that this money is guaranteed and safe, that we can draw from it and not have to worry about in the first 5 years of retirement that let's say, recession, let's say a geopolitical event derails our first 5 years of retirement and where we have to go back to work. We also want to have plenty of liquidity. We don't want to tie up our money at all because we need access to our money. And then bucket number 2 is going to have ample positioned in here because we need to prioritize protection, but we also need to prioritize return. We're not going to prioritize liquidity, and the reason why is liquidity either makes you money or loses you money. It's a factor that if we reduce liquidity, a lot of illiquid investments, everything from private equity to MYGAs to any investment like an index CD or just a CD for that example, when we reduce liquidity, it actually gives us more return potential. So we want to have ample enough for this that we know that in 5 to 10 years, we will have a little timer, and that time capsule will be opened and we can utilize the resources in there in 5 to 10 years. Next is 10 years and beyond. This one is our offensive bucket. This bucket, we're going to put enough in this bucket to fight against inflation for the long haul. And our highest priority is return. Even if I have a very conservative client that's invested in G and F their whole life, we're going to place their money, at least a portion of their money, in this 3rd bucket that protects them and their spouse in years 10 and beyond, because what's really not safe about keeping your money safe is inflation. So we're going to have plenty of return in this bucket, and we're also going to have liquidity in the 10th year. So we're not so focused about protection. So this is the income bridge that we draw out and show clients to make sure that they have a sustainable income plan in retirement. And this gives families the confidence and the permission slip to spend money in retirement. And that allows them, which is our goal, to help them sleep well at night. And that's what SWAN Capital is all about. So hopefully that income bridge makes a lot of sense. Another mistake that I've witnessed commonly is families that are retiring, that federal employees are pulling money out of their CS&I funds, and then they move everything, 100% of their money, into the G fund. And then they're expecting to live off the interest or take the residual interest off the G fund. And they're continuing to want to take that 4 to 5%, but the problem is the G fund has yet to average a 4 to 5% yield. The G fund is averaged, as you can see in the 10-year average that we supply all the time on this channel, is only averaged like 1.89 to 2%. So if you're taking out 4 to 5%, you're guaranteeing a quick spin down of your retirement savings. One major reason for this quick depletion is, of course, inflation. The G fund was designed to keep pace, and barely, for that matter, keep pace with inflation. But if your TSP is being dragged down by monthly withdrawals, it's like trying to tread water with weights on your ankles. So here's the solution. The solution is hire a professional financial planning firm. And even if it's not us, the only way to ensure your TSP will last is by utilizing professional financial planning software, not just a spreadsheet. Now, I love spreadsheets. Don't get me wrong. Spreadsheets are fantastic, and I'd love to see yours if you have one. But the variables of retirement, like your retirement date, market volatility, life expectancy for you and your spouse. Maybe inflation, variable spin down rates, the death of a spouse, increased taxation, healthcare concerns, and economic downturns to boot can all be accurately modeled with sophisticated modern day Monte Carlo simulations that we have within our software. So this is where financial planning is really an art, but it's also a very legitimate science. So please don't use a backyard measurement, an eyeball measurement at that, for your retirement. I'm not saying that you have to use us, but make sure you run these calculations. Now, if you're asking a professional, here's some of the questions I'd be asking that professional. Number one, of course, is when can I retire? This is the obvious question, but it needs an answer because when you retire, obviously impacts the longevity of your life savings and will TSP last. Number two, have I oversaved or over-engineered my plan? It needs to have a 95+% probability of success. And that's why we use software that shows the percentage of probability of running out of money. If I had a plan that has a 90% probability or lower, I'm sorry, I'm not yet retiring. Number three is what is my maximum spend? This is one of the greatest joys of my career, is showing families what the most they can spend. Basically, their permission slip in retirement. In case you want to live large for the first few years of retirement, 5 years or 10 years of your retirement, this allows you to know how much you can expand before the rubber band snaps. It can tell you that you could spend $5,000 a month, $10,000 or $12,000 a month without ever running out of money. The next question I would ask is, what inflation rate are you using in your software? If they're only using a default 3%, I think that is incredibly too low for a retiree in this decade. Post-COVID, with a lot of inflation, that is too low. So as you can see, there's a lot that goes into ensuring that your TSP will last and that your TSP doesn't run out. Income planning is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the backyard weekend warrior DIYer. As we saw with Amy, even a small detail like the year that you retire can derail your entire retirement, even if you have great investments and you have nerves of steel in the C fund. I hope this was super helpful. If you have federal retirement questions that we haven't yet answered, please do email us in the email below in the description. Also, please do check out our other videos that we have available, and you can also check out all of our other free resources on our website. But if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one visit with me or one of my advisors to talk over your TSP allocations, to go over a comprehensive federal retirement report that looks at your FEHB, your FEGLI, that looks over your survivor benefit decisions, all you have to do is click the link below, or you can give us a call at 1-800-848-8768. We have an office here on the Gulf Coast of Florida, but then again, we serve families all over the world because our clients are stationed all over the world. So give us a call at 1-800-848-8768, or you can email us at info@swan-capital.com. Remember, sleep well at night, capital. So have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.